I started doing this project, I wasn't so sure that putting a label of an injured musician is the smartest thing to do. But after deliberate thinking, I realized it is. If this story helps even one person, it's worth it. How many of you felt pain or discomfort after or while practicing and playing your instrument for hours? Me too. Before my recent injury, I never took this seriously. Part of me didn't think it's a big deal and it could be a problem, but part of me felt scared to say anything out loud because this might have meant that I need to take a break, that I need to stop playing for a while. And who wants that? I think this mindset comes also from the way how musicians are raised. You know, no pain, no gain. And just because we are taught that way doesn't mean it's okay. I do have to say I had an enormous support throughout this process of recovery from my mentor, my professors, my colleagues, my peers, and that was extremely helpful. No one ever really pressured me to come back to playing before I was ready to come back. What was the reaction of your professors at school or your colleagues, and how did you deal with that?
Everyone's reaction was different, and it was quite overwhelming. But what was helpful was my professor or my colleagues saying, you know, how are you feeling today? What can we do today? What would be helpful to work on now? And not being like, when are you going to be better? Next week? 2 weeks? When can we rehearse? A month from now? 2 months from now? But there were many, many other reactions from different things I had committed to and different professors who I didn't know that well, or other students, professors, or other students. All of those people, I had a range of people not taking it as seriously, people expecting me to be better right away, people expecting me to take their project more seriously. The most important support was my professor, who was amazing, my quartet, who I don't even know how they got through my injury because it affected all of them as well. It affected every rehearsal, and we actually had to cancel a recital because of me.
It was probably 2 or 3 weeks that I wasn't playing an orchestra, but I was practicing. I had started practicing again a little bit, and my peers would say to me, "You're practicing. Why aren't you playing an orchestra?" And I felt a responsibility, actually, because I was a DMA student. I felt a responsibility to model good behavior in terms of recovery, and explain to people, this is why I'm not playing an orchestra right now, and be visible that it's okay to be injured and it's okay to take care of yourself. It seems there's this huge stigma around being injured, right? It's like, if you're injured, either you're weak and you can't deal with it, or it's all in your head. I heard that many times, oh, you're just imagining it, it's not real.
But there's that shame and stigma, like, if I say something, I'm going to be looked differently, which is sad. I think the more people share, the more musicians share that between each other, it's going to help each other say, hey, I'm not the only one, and then you can exchange what kind of issues individual has, and what some advices, and and it's going to relieve that pressure that each musician has to be perfect in every case scenario.
I also haven't heard that, well, you're never going to be successful if you're injured because you won't be able to practice enough. I haven't heard anybody say that since I was in high school. So things have changed, I think. And I think there is more awareness now of the prevalence of injury, that so many musicians get injured, and that you need to be open about it so you can heal, So I think things are changing, just slowly.
As a whole, the music world is still a bit in recovery from a much harsher tradition of pedagogy. Like, if you think about the act of sharing music with others, we're expected to be totally technically proficient, really musical, to somehow have it all together and remain cool as a cucumber in order to get up on stage, yet also like bearing our souls. Like, it's insane. It's a huge amount to ask, like physically, psychologically, and no wonder musicians get injured.
You know what? I have new constraints that I didn't have in my life before. And I have to honor those constraints and work within them in order to be able to get past them.
And so for me, it was just, this is what I have to do. If I want to be a musician, I have to fix my body. And I trusted the doctor, Dr. Charnas. This is what he told me to do. Okay, this is what I have to do. I'm going to do it.
I think that overuse, overload injuries, so not the ones that are traumatic or accidents, but generally they are the result of faulty mechanics. So the hiding of the injury is also a hiding of the mechanical inefficiency, meaning, are you hiding yourself from talking to a movement professional like a trainer or a physical therapist who might give you some ideas, not how to do your sport and your skill, but how to grow your capacity for that performance or for that skill.
We've got a long way to go. We're making progress, I think, as a field, but just wellness and self-compassion, self-care, I think we owe ourselves a whole lot more.
Auditions were a time that I would very often work myself back into my injury. Because for one, it's material that I had been playing for years and years, and that have an emotional stress component built in.
We are 100% athletes. We use the same muscles every single day in an extremely repetitive way. And like I said before, like the arms don't exist independently of the rest of the body. If our feet are out of alignment, if our body is cold, if we're not in a good mental space, we are much more likely to hurt ourselves.
The body is very thankful, but all depends how you treat it. Meaning, like, first thing in the morning we get up and we just like we start zooming up and down, thinking what we can do, get on computer and schedule this. It's a very stressful life that we live, not mentally, but it's affecting us physically. So the mind is like, in order to decrease the pressure that we have to go daily, the mind starts sending certain impulses to the part of the body as aches and pains. So you try to distract your mind from all the stress that we have to go daily. So preparation would be definitely, it doesn't take much, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. It takes you a very, very long distance.